अनिल सर लेफ्ट साइड सर सामने।
थैंक यू सर।
सर इधर राइट सर राइट है सर।
प्लीज वेट अवे थोड़ा जगह दे दो।
क्या कर रहे थे? कि जो आ गया मेरा कैमरा नीचे पीछे स्टोर देगी अरविंद बैग से बूमर वायर निकल गया। सर यहाँ पे
I need a picture of her. Oh my God! How are you? Yeah, actually got around and not seen. No, it's both. What's up? There. I live in my girl. That's a long time. Good. What you gonna do? 100 things. She can't move. Yeah. She's good. ये देखो ना इनका भी आ रहा है। क्या समझ नहीं आया। थोड़ा सा अंदर आइए। खालिद लेफ्ट में भी सर सामने सर लेफ्ट में भी आपका सर सामने। थैंक यू। एक मिनट क्या पता।
हाँ थैंक यू।
Okay,
Thank you.
That I know, but why is that? What is that?
Okay, can we start?
May I welcome our LC for tonight's audience. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today for the launch of Home Books International's latest title, Khalid Mohamed's debut novel, The Aladia Sisters. Home Books International has already had the twin privilege of publishing Khalid's debut collection of stories, Two Mothers and Other Stories, and another collection of slice-of-life stories called Faction, put together by her. Some very special people have taken a break from their hectic schedules to be here today. Javed Akhtar, Asha Parekh ji, Lalita Lazmi ji, your unparalleled achievements in your respective fields continue to inspire us, and you have given us enough reason to look forward to more from you. Anil Kapoor ji, thank you for adding to the warmth and good cheer. In the course of this evening, I hope Khalid and I shall jointly succeed in persuading you to share your own inspirational journey with the readers. Director, producer, TV show host, and writer Karan Johar, a man of many achievements with the Midas touch, has flown in today from a shoot, especially for this event. We all look forward to a special touch during your interaction with the star of this evening, Khalid Mohamed. I have known Khalid.
Hello. So, I'm not supposed to say too much. I'm supposed to have a conversation with my three dear friends here. And एक बच्चा है, एक में से थोड़ा सा उम्र में ज़्यादा है, और एक सबसे छोटा है, Aladia. Okay, so please invite Karan. And would you like to say a few words on this?
To launch the book, we
No, I should introduce Khalid.
oh,
No.
You have something?
Yes, she's going to introduce.
I'm just going to say a few words which are not enough for Mr. Karan Johar, but yeah, something that I've written down. So we are fortunate enough to have him here, the incomparable Mr. Karan Johar, the eminently suitable man who has excelled in so many diverse fields, as we all know. Continuing the awesome legacy of Dharma Productions, bequeathed to him by his father, that Yash Johar. He has done his father super proud. He is a mega star maker who gives hope to aspirants and daydreamers to share a couple. We have also lucked out with the presence of the actor for all seasons, the outstanding Mr. Anil Kapoor, our very own Mr. India. A super gifted actor and star, Anil sir, who is incurably self-effacing, considers himself a student of cinema, despite of winning countless awards and our unstinted admiration. Perhaps I'll be echoing the sentiment of all when I say, Anil sir, you rock and are an inspiration for fitness and fabulousness. Book lovers, let's put our hands together for them. With that,
And request Karan Johar on stage, please.
Thank you for those wonderful words that you shared about AK and me. That was, I'm the one who has written.
Surprise appearance.
No, I have written.
yeah,
Well, I have actually been, I asked for this absolute honor to introduce this legend of the man.
exactly, that's why
And what do I say about Javed Saab? He's like a father to me. I've grown up in his august presence, and I say this very proudly in the month of October. Javed Saab is what do I say, a bona fide legend
a wordsmith, someone who's crafted eras of Indian cinema, has created movie stars and characters that still breathe in the annals of Indian cinema. Javed Saab is actually not just an individual, not just an artist, but an entire institution. An institution, a legacy that his proud children have taken forward with strength and continue to do so. Every word that he has ever created, every sentence that he's ever written, every single nuance that he's brought to Indian cinema, to literature, to poetry is something that will always be irreplaceable. Javed Saab, as in Javed Akhtar, is irreplaceable. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the living legend, Javed Akhtar.
All right, Mr. Margo's gone missing, so please join us. Yes. Okay, sorry, lights too strong. So Karan, I'm leaving it all up to you.
I am actually very happy that you are doing that. Just speedens the process.
No, it may last longer because we have very short speeches written and we're dispensing the ceremony and speeches.
All right, great. So, Khalid, you need to sit down first. Because you're the man of the moment.
Okay.
Give it up for Khalid Mohamed, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Khalid sir. Karan sir, thank you so much for this lovely speech. May we request Anil sir to say something now?
Well, what do I say? It's an honor to be in this dais. Of course, what Karan said for Javed Saab. Today I'm here standing in front of you all because of him. And if it was not for Javed Saab, I wouldn't be here. The journey started with Javed Saab and Mashal and still continues. I'm like a family member. And as I've always looked up to him, and it's an honor to be on the same dais with Javed Saab. Khalid, of course, is a dear friend since many, many years, and still remains a very, very close friend. And I hope that we all are friends forever. Yeah. Thank you, Khalid, for inviting me. Karan, well, I knew his dad very well, and I always wanted to work with his dad, but we could never work. And now I'm working with him. I'm very happy. We're doing a film called Takht. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, brother, for making me part of your film. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
So, dear book lovers, you've been a wonderful audience.
Sorry. I'd like to say many words.
Thank you very much. Very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me, Khalid. Khalid is a very, very old friend, and I knew him before meeting him through his reviews, and obviously they were not only incisive and analytical, but extremely witty. And if you can write well, you will write always well. So I have not read the novel, but I will. So at the moment I can't talk about it because I have realized that human brain is a strange thing. You know, it starts working before you are born. And it keeps working. Even when you are sleeping, the brain works. It starts dreaming and so on. But the only time the brain stops working is when you try to talk about a book that you have not read. So I'm in that situation. So my best wishes to Khalid. And thank you very much, Karan, for saying such wonderful things about me, and thank you, Anil. And for a while I was getting confused whether he has written the novel or I have written the novel. So let's get rid of this idea. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Javed Saab. Before I plunge into this chat, which is a freewheeling chat, and with all apologies, we're going to keep it candid, because that's the spirit of Khalid Mohamed. Even though he tries to look very dapper in his grey suit, there's a candor, candidness, and there's a, well, I won't say the other adjective that is floating in my head right now, because it's a very civilized event. I want to date back and quickly say,
I want to know the word.
No, I'll tell you, I'll message it to you later. I want to start by saying that Khalid is one of my, not oldest literally, but one of the closest people I knew when I was 12 years old. I became really close to Khalid, and one of the few people I know who's attended my parents' wedding. And my absolute admiration for Khalid began when I started reading his reviews, because they were not only, like Javed Saab mentioned, analytical, and they were completely academic in their approach to cinema, but they were hysterical, they were funny. And today, when you read Me Too's and Me Threes and Me 33s of reviewers who are actually trying to kind of circumvent analysis with humor, you realize that the origin of that is actually here. Khalid Mohamed. He was the first person, actually, when it comes to media, that began writing about cinema with a sense of humor. Of course, sense of humor was invariably at the cost of the film and the filmmakers, but that's just, I suppose it's more fun when you watch a bad film. It's no fun praising a great piece of work, because then all you do is praise it.
I praised Kabhi.
Yeah, you did, thank you. I think there was bias there, but I adore that bias. So I got really good reviews from Khalid, and maybe that's because the reason why I'm sitting here. But I have to say that Khalid truly was a force of nature where it came to media and journalism, and continues to be. Sometimes dormant, sometimes active, but always a force of nature. So Khalid, congratulations for everything you've achieved in screenwriting, in media, and now as a novelist. So I have to ask you first, that you've done it all, written it all, been there, done that, as they say. But what was, and I know that this is a compilation of pieces and parts of your life, your childhood, your memories, your lineage and legacy, but what was that one point, or rather I would say that immediate source of inspiration that actually prompted you to put down the Aladia sisters?
Well, Karan, I think the force behind you is really your dad, Yashji, and now your mom, Hirudi. So my force has been my grandmother, and the book is dedicated to all the grandmothers of the world, because I was brought up by her. So, but this is not their story. I've already told it in Mamu, Sadari Begum and Zubeda. So I've gone out of my body and mind and investigated a lot of Muslim women. Women I knew from childhood, and subjected them to an investigation. Of course, I was speaking to Javed Saab about the novel, so he says, even Prince Charming, when you tell it, has its own little subjective interpretation. Or Sleeping Beauty, there is a bit of me in it. Or, again, to borrow his words, you may take someone's nose, you may take someone's eyes, you may take someone's lips and body and create a whole new person. So, this may be read as an autobiographical book, but it is not, and it is. So, I'll leave that mystery to the reader.
Well, wonderful. I think that's where, I think everything exciting is where you can actually read between the lines, have your own interpretation about the author, and of course the atmosphere created in the book. Now, when I read about the book, I know that there's a very strong feminist slant, and having known you for decades now, I know that you've been a strong feminist yourself. Pivotal characters in your films have always projected women in such solid lead parts. Now, I know Javed Saab is an incredible feminist himself. In fact, I would say that even in the times of Indian cinema, where the concept of women empowerment and being a feminist was not a concept that was addressed, and it should have been. Javed Saab always gave very strong parts to the women. They were working professionals. They balanced profession and emotion in equal measure. Javed Saab, as a feminist yourself, how do you reflect on writing today, where it comes to, not just this novel, in generally the approach of how women are projected today in literature and even in cinema?
Obviously, we have come a long way, and we have still to go a long way, but the situation has totally changed. I mean, say in 60s, the ideal woman was मैं चुप रहूंगी, or Sahara, and now that is rejected. But I suppose society is on a curve, the turning of the road. We are still not very clear what is the image of a contemporary woman. It is slowly coming into focus, I must say, but there is a lot of confusion about it. You see, the liberal gets very scared in giving a final definition because he feels that somebody will out-liberal him. On the other hand, the conservatives are scared to define her because they feel that they will lose a lot of territory. But there is a debris. At the moment, I see a lot of debris because the old structure has been demolished and the new structure is under construction. It is coming up. In some of the film, I'm sorry that she's my daughter, but the fact is that I see that modern woman in Zoya's film. Yeah. That this is the contemporary real person of today. Otherwise, in one of these films, if you will insist, I'll tell you which film, but...
I insist.
Okay, in Jab Tak Hai Jaan, the heroine says that I'll get married after sleeping with one man of every nationality of the world. Now this bravado was only to tell that I don't care. I don't bother, I have the courage to say anything outrageous. But I mean, to be an empowered woman, you don't have to be so hardworking. So I feel that there is a lot of confusion. Like you will notice that in girls, the percentage of smoking is increasing. I mean, I suppose nicotine is as bad for feminine lungs as for masculine lungs. But these are the wrong expressions. These are a kind of rebellion without a cause, rebel without a cause. They are finding that, I mean, I am not running it down because the pendulum which moved, now it has moved on the other side, but it will find its balance. And I do see that balance in a couple of duets.
When you say rebel without a cause, and sometimes well with one, I think of Khalid and his writing in the earlier days, or when he was a critique. How do you react today, Javed Sahib, and I have to ask you, and I will ask Anil that question as well, is that how do you react to when a critic gets into, and this is just purely because you're such an astute and your emotional quotient is so high, how do you react to when a critic himself is now going to be open to criticism? Now he has been a screenwriter and he's written some very credible pieces of work, and now he's in a totally different terrain. And you know, there is a thing, there is a psyche that surrounds us that like, these people write anything, but you know, like tell them to go write a film, which is an unjustified accusation because that's the job. A critic is meant to then, you know, point out and analyze the piece of work. Now he's going to be open to criticism. What is your take and thought on that?
Well, I think best of the doctors can be found in ICU sometimes. After all, they are human beings. But yes, you see, criticizing something is something else. That's easier. But when you are producing it, when you're starting from point zero, when a blank paper is in front of you and you have to write the first word, that is very, very difficult. And doing it yourself, if I see a painting, I can, to some extent at least, appreciate the painting or find some fault in it and in its color scheme or structure. If you ask me to draw a line, I can't draw a straight line. So appreciating or assessing something is one quality, and it can be in some people. But to do it yourself is another thing, as you have said. I am only repeating what you are saying. So again, now you're on the test.
Khalid, you know that now this is a new, you're going to like walk the talk as they say, and you're going to enter totally new turf and terrain. And of course there are people, you know, we have prominent novelists and people in the world of literature in India and globally who have, you know, created like such large spaces for themselves. And this is your first foray into being a novelist yourself. Are you, is there some kind of fear, apprehension about the feedback that is going to come your way?
I don't think books are reviewed much nowadays. There are some papers which do it, and there will be trolls, there will be funny remarks on Amazon, and yeah, I can take it. Like I remember when Fizza was made, it was called bullshit, and Mr. Subhash Ghai gave it 2 stars, and so is Mr. Subhash Ghai can be a critic? Why can't a critic be a Mr. Subhash Ghai? Yeah. So in a manner of speaking. But I'd like to turn this over to Anil right now, and he used to get very furious with me with some reviews and would talk to me. I missed him during those days, but then we always patched up. So, do reviews hurt? Did mine?
So would you want some film people to review your novel?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get more hits for that, I'll get more sales for that, Mr. Mago will profit and I'll be happy.
Shall I speak to Subhashi?
Oh, I don't think that's a word you will be whistling in very soon, but anyway.
Well, no, ask Zoya actually, you know, Farhan, if they can. I'll be very happy with the reviews.
Oh God, you want Zoya to review your book? So really, are you ready for that? Javed
Yeah,
sir,
sure.
can you just give a disclaimer to that?
If I can be ready for Subhash Ghai, I can be ready for anyone.
Okay.
You're not even a father.
AK, back to the question, that did his reviews hurt? And can you remember anything caustic he said about you?
Well, of course, there were quite a few films. Of course, there was which comes to my mind is Beta, and
For which you won the Filmfare Award.
which I won the Filmfare Award, so that is a film where he gave me a bad review. You know, he said we called Beta Beti,
And I just said he was a feminist.
yeah, and fortunately for me, I won the Best Actor award, and the film was a huge success. And of course, Lamhe, you know, Lamhe, I remember, was quite devastating, and for Yashi, for all of us, because the review, what Khalid gave was not very positive, and he compared the film to one of Gulzar's house films. I remember it so well, and that was awesome. And of course, after I think many years, almost after 25 years, Khalid sent me a message saying I was wrong, because the film is a very, very good film. So sometimes, you know, it's your state of mind, when you're watching the film, at that moment you feel, like for example, I've seen Joker, but there are few reviews. 99.9% reviews have been phenomenal, but there are few reviews which are not very positive, and that surprises me because I love the film. So these things happen. So obviously now time has passed, so I've become much more thick-skinned where reviews are concerned, you know. So, but earlier, when you start your career, you're quite sensitive, and there are certain films which you've really worked very, very hard, and you know the filmmaker and the entire team, the kind of effort they put in, and then you read the review and you feel a little upset. So these are two films I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, about the
Khalid,
collection.
you would not like Lamhe?
No, maybe.
No, it's perfectly all right.
No.
I have no problem. So you have not liked it. Then you
I
must
had
ask
not
Zoya,
liked it.
You must ask Zoya to review the film because the story of Lamhe was written by her mother.
What do mothers and fathers have to do with anything, really? But yes, I did not react to it then, and I really think critics should admit the mistakes, because we are not really writing things cast in stone, and we are wrong at times, and I believe I've done that to a few films, and I've acknowledged that. I think I gave Rajkumar Hirani's first Munabai film just 3 stars, it deserved 4. So when I look back, and luckily I saw this on one of these OTT platforms, and I said, wow, things are happening here. And I must admit, there was a bit of a sentimental effect that day, because I saw it on the day Sridevi passed away, so that film became monumental suddenly. And his performance was something else. I mean, whenever I shave my mustache off, I think, oh my God, now I'm looking like Anil Kapoor, so he's become, I mean, in a very bad way, very bad way.
No. We weren't getting into that.
Okay.
I'm just imagining you without a mustache.
Okay, I'll sell you.
Khalid, back to the book. We're really here to celebrate Aladia sisters, and it's the passion in which you've written it, and of course I know that this means a lot to you even personally. Now, now I know that you said that it's drawn from personal aspects, and of course, grandmothers and your grandmother's sisters, and there are parts that are true, parts that are fictionalized. It's a balance between both.
Imbalance.
Imbalance. Now, how easy, or rather how difficult is it to detach yourself from true to life material when you have to also fictionalize it? As a writer, what is that process that you go through when you have to do that?
I think the first problem in writing a novel is that I've been a reporter, I've been a film critic, written short pieces which are mainly 800 to 1,000 words. You're not allowed to write more. Maximum you're given 2,000 words now, because in networks and portals there's no limited, no limits. But to write 1 lakh word was, and to sustain the characters and to keep revising it, to pare away the contradictions and sometimes let the contradictions be, because that's how people are. And yes, it's a very lonely pursuit, because in, let's say, the Times of India, I'm working with a whole team. In a film, I'm working with 100 people. Everything is a group effort, but this was a very solo performance. And of course, my editor, Deepa Chaudhary, was very good. She didn't change it much, so I must have done something right. So yeah, writing a novel is the most difficult form I've attempted, because it needs your thoughts there, and you have to be careful about the research. Of course, one has done research outside of Wikipedia, gone to meet people who are of that age, put one's own experience. Like, for instance, I'll say, suppose while writing the story, the protagonist wants to see a shrink, a psychoanalyst, because his friends don't listen. And the psychoanalyst tells him, okay, you don't need me, you just go home. So I put that. So that's a part of me, but it's not the character who's quite heroic and going off to different places. I wouldn't go by a third-class train, a third-class compartment train, but this guy does. So it's a part of me and it's a part of somebody else. So it's a mixture, and it's a very, very difficult fusion. Very.
Well, writing, we can all, I think on this platform, I think Javed Sahib would also agree that writing is a lonely process. But it's it's cathartic, it's lonely, but it's also the most satisfying when you actually finally put word to paper, and when you reflect on it and look at it, and you know that there's a sense of satisfaction that can't be replaced by anything else. So I'm sure that, as turbulent as it was, it feels very validating today.
I think cathartic is a very easy word to put. Like, you've written something on something and it goes out of you, you had your cry, you feel good, you released it. You couldn't put up a monument for your mother, but you've written this film for her. But it's not cathartic, it stays, it enlarges, so it's always there. So writing is not a way of analysis and putting out all your words and just forgetting it. They grow within you, as I'm sure they have grown within Javed Saab's. I would wonder, for instance, whether he would write Diva the way he did today. Would it be different?
Would it be?
I hope so. Because if it doesn't, it means I have not changed at all in the last 40 years.
Cinephiles, Javed Sahib, I have to add to cinephiles, cinema lovers, academic, personalities across the world have touted Diwar as the perfect screenplay. Lots of them have said that there are two perfect screenplays in Indian cinema. There's Avara and Diwar. In terms of structure, narrative, character arc, and it's been said numerous times. I know that it's difficult for you to agree with that, because that would be, self-acknowledgement, but that is true. So if you had to write it again today, you would probably just give it a contemporary edge. I'm not sure the arc should change.
The screenplay of Diwar was written exactly in 18 days. There was never a second day. This is what we had written in 18 days. So there was perhaps, now when I look back, both of us, Salim Sahib and me, perhaps we were on some kind of a creative high when things were coming so easily to us. And in another 20 days, the dialogue was written. So dialogue is written in 20 days, and the screenplay is written in 18 days. So that's about all. And till Trishul, we had no idea there is something like second version. Trishul was the first film where we made certain, after the completion of the film, we made certain changes. Otherwise, all that I've written, including Sholay, was the first version, the only version. That's about all. So, there is a time when the batsman swings his bat and the ball comes to it. So that was the time for us. But let's forget about it. Let's talk about this novel and the novels in India. As a matter of fact, in India, it's a strange paradox, Karan, that we have been brought up as a nation on epics. That is a temperament. Ramayana, Mahabharata, and even in different regions of India, you have epic stories, big stories of generations. But when we look at our literature, whether Hindi literature, Urdu literature, Gujarati, Marathi, comparatively in Gujarati or in Bengali, Marathi, you will find some novels, but strangely, Hindi, Urdu have very few novels. Very few novels. And the simple reason is that if you are doing something else, you can find time to write a short story or a play. But to write a novel, you have to be a full-time writer. And unfortunately, for a very long time, writers, and even today it is true, that in these languages, the writers don't get enough sustenance, economic sustenance, to be able to sit down and write a novel for next 3 years. It's not possible. So that is why novels are rare. Now in English literature, obviously English, in spite of being language of perhaps 2 to 3% India, has a bigger market. There are people who buy English novels. But we still have that, indigenous languages, they still have that problem. But if you look at our screenplays are an average Hindi picture, the screenplay is nearer to a novel than a short story. And now the cinema parallel, or whatever you may call it, is gradually, the new cinema that is developing, is gradually going towards the short story. And it is rejecting the songs. So that epic-like quality is gradually going out of Indian cinema, and I am very sad about it. Because our indigenous cinema, the way we have used melodrama, the way we have used songs in the picture, look at the masters like Guru Dutt, look at the masters like Bimal Roy, Raj Kapoor, how, Vijay Anand, how they have used songs. Why it has started embarrassing new directors, I don't know. Tomorrow, some Japanese will get embarrassed about kabuki, or Italians get embarrassed about their Italian opera. They say it's not real. Who says art should be real? Who says novel should be real? It can be anything. Like we were talking the other day, autobiographical. They asked him so many times, is it autobiographical? No writing can be not autobiographical at all. There will be a part of your autobiography in it. Your morality, your sensibility, your aesthetics, your values, they will enter Prince Charming, Sleeping Beauty, Rustam, Sohrab, anybody. They are your people when you are writing about them. And they speak your language. And that is how every fiction is, to some extent, autobiographical.
Karan.
Please clap.
Yeah, please.
Don't hesitate.
Khalid, I have one last question to ask you before we go into the yes. I have to just say, and I'm going to ask you the million-dollar question, that is there an aspiration to make this into a web series or a film? Has it been written with that thought process, with that ethos at all?
I would say it hasn't crossed my mind. I mean, when I was seeing all the characters, I thought, oh my god, this is Netflix or Amazon, whatever. But to be honest, I have met a lot of people from the streaming channels who come and they take me for good lunch, and then they want me to sign a MOU, saying you won't discuss this with anyone else. The money they offer is peanuts, and I'm going to be the creative consultant, which is fine. I don't want to be there on the set shooting web series. But and there are a lot of middle agents involved, so I already got like, okay, can we read the advance copy? I said, no, okay, let it come out, maybe you like it or not, but don't call me, please, if you just want to give me a free lunch. And those lunches are nice, but that's frustrating.
Because there are no free lunches.
Well, I don't know, there's scrambling my brain. For instance, I was called by 3 OTT channels to do a version of The Feud with the 2 sisters.
Right.
So they wanted somebody like, the characters to be, and I swear this is told to me by 3 channel people. Somebody like Hema Malini and Zinat Aman to have a clash. Okay, so, and why me? Because I was there in the 70s. So, 75, 76. So, Mr. Javed Akhtar was again pointing out to me that there are just 3 people from the 1970s working in cinema today, which is himself, Rishi Kapoor, and Amitabh Bachchan. Isn't that right? Okay.
And Gulnaz.
And number 4. Okay, so let's get Anil involved now. Okay, let him talk about.
I think when we involve Anil, we involve, of course, a celebrated actor, and I think a shining, illustrious personality who's adding more glamour to this platform than anybody else is. Like a true blue star, I feel like the spotlight is only on his face. If you notice, none of our faces are shining like Anil Kapoor's faces. Like, you know, he's just looking like literally, when they say a star has a star presence, I feel he shouldn't say anything. He's just shining. And I feel just he should just remain as, and he's been doing this Spotify commercial. Rightfully, the spotlight is also on him. The right brand also chose him. Anil, I don't have any question to ask you related to the book, but आपकी खूबसूरती का क्या है? I just want to ask you that.
He is a Punjabi.
No, I am also Punjabi. It doesn't happen here.
And of course, I
I'm
feel
also
very, very,
Punjabi.
obviously, that's the
It's
question.
in the genes.
But I think, I've answered it many times, but I don't want to answer it again. Everybody knows the answer. They can look up to all my interviews. But of course, I feel very fortunate. I want to ask one question to
Yes, you must.
Khalid. Okay. Khalid, who had been your when you started writing all the reviews? Because really, there is, of course, as Karan said, the humor in it, and the wittiness in the was there anyone in the that you were inspired by? Because you see, as an actor, I'm inspired by a lot of actors, and there are certain works which are internationally and national, and I look up to them and I learned a lot from them. So was there anybody who you were inspired by in your writing?
There was an earlier Times of India critic called Mr. Vikram Singh. I was inspired by his honesty because he was very, very honest and he couldn't be approached by anyone. So I tried to be like him in that regard, but not his writing because I found that a bit dry, and most reviews end up telling you the plot and you tend to skim over the paragraphs and just read the beginning and the end, and that's what I still do, by the way. And so I thought, let me try a new approach, and I won't tell the story, and if I do, I'll tell it in a very different, funny way. Sometimes make it rhyme, sometimes write it like a poem, sometimes write it like a conversation between me and P.T. Usha, for instance, if there was a film on running, it involved Nitin Chakrabarti. So, and yes, I was influenced by the style of Mr. Kenneth Tynan, who's a stage and film critic. He had a certain rhythm in his prose. So, thodi lay honi chahiye words mein, play with words. Now, pun is considered the lowest form of wit, but when you do it effectively, it's called, if I may say, onomatopoeia, which is a sound. So, if you use all those comic language from whatever I've read of Archie and especially Tubby and all those things which have been forgotten, Alp, Eats, Roots, all that. So, and when I would write a serious review, everyone would say, what have you written? So yes, it was always fun reviewing bad films, and it was not so fun praising good films. Though yes, I would say I got tremendous satisfaction writing about a Satyajit Ray film or a Guru Dutt film, but that I could only do that in retrospect. In Bombay, I have to concentrate on B-town movies, so it was only the Hindi films which were there. And I came in at the time with an angry young man, and I remember liking certain films a lot. I liked Satya, I liked Dilwale, I liked Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, I liked Digar. I wasn't there for Sholay, and I didn't review it, though I think it was panned by the Times of India Film Critic, but I'm still blamed for it, because, no, I'm not that old. So, yeah, it was finding my way through, and actually it was a poet called Adil Jaswala. He knocked me somewhere.
It did go viral, the review of Sholay. That was by the Times of India critic.
I remember this.
And it was just, in retrospect, ridiculous.
I remember this. I remember.
I'm not guilty, but if I may come.
Did you review Diva?
No, I saw it from college. I went there from college, I remember, and we came back quite impressed. Of course, there was argument on the temple scene and how it was performed, with the bells and all that. And I think Salim Khan the other day was telling me he would have performed it differently. What is this? So we had those conversations, and there were film society enthusiasts. There is Rafiq there, there's Rashid there, and they did not see as much of Hindi cinema as I did. But yeah, being from a cathedral, a bit of a snooty school, going to the Hindi movies, that was a bit of an aberration. But yeah, I love them. I still do, to an extent, not with that degree of passion. So that's why I'm writing novels. And yes, just to say about the web series, yeah, so it did cross my mind. So like, I could approach you, I could approach Anil, and then if you say no, I'll be devastated. So why go there? So,
well, I hope that you're not ever going to reach the point of devastation, Khalid. And I think from all of us on this stage today, we really from our hearts wish you the very best with your foray into literature, being a novelist. You've always excelled with every time you've ever put pen to paper. And it should be no different with the Aladia sisters. I can't wait to read it. I'm sure all of us can't wait to kind of get our hands on the copy. And speaking of getting our hands on the copy, I think it's time for that moment where we get, and I would like you to actually introduce this lovely lady who's going to get the first copy of your novel.
yes. So we're not going to do like a usual launch. I have three worthies, very people who are dear to me, whom I respect, admire, and I will ask Anil Kapoor to say the last word before I go blah blah. And we're going to do this. Three of them are going to present it together, launch it to Asha ji, whom I've known closely and written a book on her, The Hit Girl, and she's the 2 a.m. pal. Okay, if I get some headache and wail, and she says stop droning, and she does the same to me. So I think you three guys just launch the book for me, please. And first copy goes to Asha ji.
Thank you. Give it up for Khalid Mohamed, ladies and gentlemen.
Where's the book? Ashji Padhariya.
Why? China.
Okay, now the script went alright, and I think Kaizeen, my dear Kaizeen, let's give a big hand to Kaizeen. She did a lovely job, and we were working on the script, and that's Kaizeen. She's an actor, she's a model, and I hope she goes far, and maybe we'll play one of the girls someday. Okay, thank you, Kaizeen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being a fantastic audience. If anybody would like to buy the book and get it autographed,
You may go to the billing counter and pick up your coffee. No Q&A for the audience. We are running short of time, sorry.
Maybe just, we don't have a Q&A session today. I mean, it was a Q&A between us. But if it's emergency, if you can't live without it, then I'll answer it. Yeah, make it quick.
There's one question you allowed me.
Yeah, that's more than enough.
Sir, please sit.
But please start.
No, I'm asking you a question which is interrelated to this book.
Yes.
Now that you've written this particular first novel,
Yes.
and what will be one of the next writing projects that you may be already contemplating? Would it be one more novel or something else?
Yes, I'm already writing it. It's called The Imperfect Prince. It may be read as my brother's death, my half-brother, who was killed in an accident or a murder which was never solved. But it's not going to be about him again. It's going to be a composite of many Jessicas, of many Hukam Singhs who have died and whose murders have gone unsolved. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
मोबाइल मोबाइल अनिल सर सेंटर जावेद साहब सेंटर ये कैमरा
अरे रूप क्या सब लोग मिलना मुश्किल है अरे भाई साहब
आशा जी सेंटर सर थोड़ा सा पीछे हो जाइए ना मैम आप भी थोड़ा पीछे हो जाइए पीछे हो क्या कर रहे हैं
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
दो बार वो नीचे गई है बात करता है
बस हो गया बस
Bye, Kala. Take care.
जल्दी करो
जल्दी